AI enabling narrative signals at scale. Let's dig into how AI unlocks the narrative tire. This maps to section 3.3.2 on numerical and narrative signals. Historically, organizations have underused narrative material. It gets labeled anecdotal, too time consuming to work, too systematically, too subjective to act on with confidence, etc. Now that creates a quiet structural bias in experience management. Numerical signals get all the attention, but the scale and narrative signals get sidelined because they won't. What changes with AI is natural language processing. NLP, or also called as natural language processing, can mine sentiment and intent at scale from support transcripts, open text survey responses, chat logs, and social media, turning what used to be dismissed as anecdotal into a systematically analyzed pattern set. Now, this is not about replacing human judgment, it's about extending human capacity. Because these tools, a team of 5 analysts might process 500 support transcripts a month and produce a monthly report. With AI, same team can process 50,000 transcripts continuously, surface emerging themes in real time, and direct their attention to whatever needs deeper human investigation. Take the ICR case study. Maria's team used to sample 50 support calls a week to understand the car sharing onboarding experience. With AI-powered transcript analysis, she can now systematically analyze every call, 2,000 a week, and get daily summaries of the phrases and sentiment patterns showing up at every journey stage. It does not replace our judgment about what matters. It just points our attention far more efficiently. Now, the exam critical caveat: AI signals are hypothesis, not ground truth. A sentiment model that flags a transcript as negative is making a prediction based on the patterns in its training data, and that prediction can be wrong, especially for callers whose language, cultural norms, or communication style differ from what the model was trained on. Any AI output needs to be triangulated against other evidence, behavioral data, direct feedback before anyone acts on it. AI enriching all three capture modes. AI does not just help with narrative signals, it enriches all three capture modes from section 3.3.3. Let's start with the emerging high-risk techniques, passive signals. Tone of voice analysis in support calls, interaction speed patterns, and even facial microexpressions where that's legally permissible and ethically justified. These are powerful, and they raise real privacy and interpretability questions, which we will pick up properly under assessment criteria 5.1.2. The pairing rule still holds even with AI in the mix. Always pair one instrumented numerical phrase with one human narrative. If an AI-generated insight has no corresponding human narrative to validate it, treat it as unconfirmed hypothesis, not a finding. Here's the full table across the three capture modes. Direct capture, asking people, moves from static surveys limited by response rate and social desirability bias to AI-powered conversational surveys that adapt their questions in real time, plus NLP analysis of open text and sentiment detection in voice or chat. The next is indirect capture, observing behavior. It moves from raw telemetry, logs, and clickstream data to machine learning models that detect subtle patterns. Hesitation at specific steps, clusters of retries, changes in interaction speed that suggest frustration, confusing or confidence, plus anomaly detection that can surface an experience failure before it escalates. Synthetic capture, simulating experience, moves from digital twins and agent-based models that need specialist expertise and heavy investment to AI-driven simulations that predict how a proposed design change will land across different user populations before you even deploy it. The most powerful of the three is arguably indirect capture enrichment. At ICR, SAM can configure a machine learning model that flags first-time autonomous taxi riders showing a specific telemetry pattern, 3 or more map checks in the first minute, an extended pause before confirming pickup as potentially anxious, triggering a proactive in-app prompt before the user even contacts support. Remember, though, this is technically feasible, but the ethical permission to use it in terms of informed consent, private controls is a separate question, which is exactly where assessment criteria 5.1.2 picks up. AI as a co-actor in experience improvement. Now we move beyond capture into section 6.4.1.5, AI's role in the improvement process itself. This is the most important conceptual shift in the whole AI section, so good to kind of slow down here. Traditional IT service management treated AI or automation more broadly as a tool, something the service team uses to get work done faster. ITIL Experience treats AI as a participant in the relationship, a co-actor alongside the provider and the consumer, whose behavior directly shapes how the consumer experiences the provider. Think about Amira's bot sending Elena a policy PDF instead of answering her actual question. That's not a tool failure, it's a relationship failure. The bot represented ICR in a moment of need and produced a response that felt dismissive, exactly the same experience consequence as if a human agent had done it. But the governance consequence is different because the bot's behavior comes from its programming, not its judgment, which means the organization carries full responsibility for the relationship implications of every AI interaction design choice it makes. As an AI actor, as a co-actor, AI does three things in every interaction. It sets tone, how it responds shapes how users feel about the whole organization. It influences trust. Consistent, explainable AI builds confidence. Opaque AI erodes it, and it guides the flow of interaction, routing decisions, recommendations, escalation triggers. The one-line summary is worth remembering. If experience is influenced by interactions, then AI is part of the experience relationship. Here's the table mapping the 6 AI capability functions, which you will meet in full in part 2, to their benefit for experience management. Creation generates in-ride messages and personalized communications at scale. Curation cleans and deduplicates experience signals and surfaces the most relevant codes. Clarification summarizes insights in plain language and adds journey context. Cognition detects patterns, forecasts deterioration, and suggests likely causes. Communication provides conversational support and adapts tone to the stakeholder. Coordination routes cases to the right team and triggers a clean human handoff. At Bloom's level 2, you need to understand how each function benefits experience management, not apply them to a novel scenario in detail.